came to my attention last week that a musician, songwriter, named Richard Sherman passed away just a couple of weeks shy of his 96th birthday. Anybody familiar with Richard Sherman? I thought I'd get some blank looks. I can guarantee that his music has made you smile hundreds of times in your life. Richard Sherman, along with his brother Robert, wrote some great movie soundtracks. Mary Poppins, Sword in the Stone, The Jungle Book, Winnie the Pooh, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. It goes on and on and on. They were Walt Disney legends. So, I wanted to talk about two of Richard Sherman's songs today that I found some interesting stories to go along with. The first, Feed the Birds, from Mary Poppins. The bird lady on the steps of St. Paul. What an iconic scene of film, right? So, as Mary Poppins, the movie, was being developed, there's a book series that the movie's based on, and the creative team had a lot of time and a lot of license on the clock to just work with things, read things, try things out. And there was a little scene in the second book, chapter 7 if you're a reader, where this moment with the bird lady happens. So Richard and Robert Sherman thought, oh, that could be a song. You know, we could work with that. And it appears in the book as a lesson on the value of charity. You know, it's the purpose of this scene in a children's book. So this song comes up, and all of a sudden, this song, it's a turning point for the Sherman Brothers, for Walt Disney, and look at the legacy of it. It became Walt Disney's favorite song. The Sherman Brothers played it for him as part of a development meeting, and Walt Disney was just overcome with emotion, and he said, that's what it's all about. And he didn't just mean the movie, he meant everything. That it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to do something that makes a difference for somebody. Tuppence. So the Sherman Brothers, by that point, they were on staff, but they weren't under contract to Walt Disney. They were put immediately on contract, and thus the legacy of great film soundtracks. And every Friday, they'd come up to Walt Disney's office, they'd catch up on projects, and Disney would ask Richard Sherman to play Feed the Birds, you know, for their entire working relationship, at least once a week, because that's what it's all about. It doesn't take very much to be kind and to give something. That's what it's all about. The second song I wanted to mention is It's a Small World. He wrote that one too. They were developing a ride, of course, for the Disneyland theme park, and the working title of the ride was Children of the World. They wanted something that would connect children. And at first they thought they would play all the national anthems, all the various world national anthems the countries represented together. But that turned out to be a cacophony. It was terrible. It sounded awful. So they needed one song, and they needed one song that could be easily translated into many, many languages. So the Sherman Brothers went to work, and they came up with It's a Small World. At first they thought maybe as a slow ballad, but then they wanted something a little more upbeat, a little more up-tempo. So this was composed in 1962, as they were developing the It's a Small World ride for the 64 World's Fair, and then subsequently for the parks. Another thing that happened in '62, Cuban Missile Crisis. And this heavily influenced Richard Sherman, who thought, gosh, it's a very small world, after all, that connects us. So he wrote that It's a Small World as a world peace prayer in the wake of the Cuban Missile Crisis. And I certainly didn't know that. I will never hear that song the same way again. And the choir's not going to sing it today. We're going to do something else. We're going to do an older world peace prayer, because I didn't want you to blame me for that It's a Small World to be stuck in your head all week. So the choir will do a very famous world peace prayer, the Dona Nobis Pacem round. But interesting to know that for as many hundreds of years old as the Dona Nobis Pacem tune is, It's a Small World from 1962 has eclipsed it as the song that is most performed and most translated. It is the most performed and most translated piece of music ever written. Yeah, ever written. And it's a prayer for world peace. Think about that. The most often performed and translated piece of music ever written is a prayer for world peace.